The moment the DNA envelope hit the kitchen table, everything changed, and fans are still trying to catch their breath. What was supposed to be a quiet family discussion exploded into a full-blown scandal that no one saw coming. Erika Kirk, once seen as the calm, unshakable center of her blended family, is now at the heart of a storm involving secret paternity, shattered trust, and a shocking decision that has left Charlie's parents completely cut off. Emotions ran high, voices were raised, and by the end of the night, a family that once shared Sunday dinners was left divided beyond repair. Sources close to the situation say Erika's hands were shaking as she stared at the test results she never expected to see. For years, everyone believed the story they were told, that Charlie was the devoted father of Erika's kids, standing proudly by her side through every milestone. But behind closed doors, doubts had been growing, whispers getting louder, and suspicions gnawing at the edges of their picture-perfect life. When the truth finally came out, it didn't just crack the foundation, it blew it apart. Fans are shocked by how fast things escalated. One minute, Charlie's parents were demanding answers, accusing Erika of manipulation and betrayal. The next, Erika was reportedly standing her ground, her voice cold and final, telling them they were no longer welcome anywhere near her children. "You have no right," she allegedly snapped, as years of resentment spilled out in a single, unforgettable confrontation. What followed was a cascade of accusations, tears, and stunned silence that left everyone reeling. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. The DNA test didn't just disprove assumptions, it exposed a real father no one was prepared to name. A man from Erika's past, long thought to be irrelevant, suddenly became the center of the most explosive revelation of all. Friends say Charlie looked like the ground had disappeared beneath him, while his parents reacted with disbelief that quickly turned into rage. In that moment, loyalties were tested, and lines were drawn that may never be erased. As word spread, fans flooded social media with theories, outrage, and sympathy, all asking the same question: how did it come to this? Was Erika protecting her children, or hiding something even bigger? With Charlie caught between his parents and the woman he trusted most, and a mystery father looming in the shadows, this scandal is far from over. And if this is just the beginning, the fallout may be more devastating than anyone is ready for. The house was too quiet that morning, the kind of quiet that makes every footstep sound like an accusation. Erika sat at the edge of the couch staring at the envelope on the coffee table, her fingers hovering inches above it like touching it might make everything real. Charlie stood near the window, arms crossed, jaw tight, pretending to watch the street but really watching her reflection in the glass. Neither of them spoke because both knew once the silence broke nothing would ever be the same again. Charlie's parents arrived earlier than expected. His mother Linda knocked twice, sharp impatient knocks that echoed through the hallway. Erika flinched. Charlie sighed and opened the door before she could say a word. Linda walked in first, eyes already scanning the room. Her father-in-law Robert followed. Slower, heavier steps, his face set in that familiar look of judgment Erika had learned to dread over the years. "So where is it?" Linda said, not even pretending to be polite. "Where are the results?" Erika swallowed hard. "They're right there," she said, her voice barely steady. Linda moved toward the table, picked up the envelope and held it like it was something dirty, something offensive to her very existence. She turned to Charlie before opening it. "You see what I told you," she said. "This never should have gone this far." Charlie didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on Erika, searching her face for reassurance, for denial, for anything that could tell him this was all a mistake. "Open it," Erika said suddenly, her voice sharper than before. "Just open it." Linda tore the envelope open, pulled out the papers. Her eyes moved, quickly scanning numbers, words, percentages, and then she froze. The color drained from her face. Robert leaned in, squinting, trying to read over her shoulder. "What does it say?" he asked, irritation creeping into his voice. Linda didn't answer. She just handed the paper to him. "Robert, read it once, then again, slower this time," his eyebrows pulling together like the words themselves were mocking him. "This is wrong," he said, finally looking up. "This has to be wrong." Charlie stepped forward, his heart pounding. "Let me see," he said, his hands trembling as he took the paper. His eyes scanned the page and then stopped. He felt like the air had been sucked out of his lungs. His knees weakened. He grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. 0% probability, he whispered. No, that can't be right." Erika closed her eyes for a brief moment. When she opened them, there were tears, but also something else. "Resolve. I told you. I said we needed to know the truth." Linda exploded. "Truth?" she screamed, jumping back like Erika had slapped her. "You lying, manipulative woman. You let my son raise children that aren't his." Erika stood up, her voice rising too. "Don't you dare say that about my kids. They are innocent in all of this." Robert slammed his hand on the table. "Innocent or not," he snapped, "my son has been made a fool." Charlie finally looked at Erika, his eyes red, his voice breaking. "How long did you know?" Erika shook her head. "I didn't know. I suspected, but I didn't know for sure. Not until now." "Suspected?" Linda laughed bitterly. "Oh, so you suspected expected, but you still kept quiet, you still let him believe I was scared," Erika shot back. "I was scared of losing everything, of losing the kids, losing this family," Linda repeated, pointing around the room. "This family is over." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. Charlie looked between them like a child caught in a war. "He never asked for Mom, please," he said. "Stop," but Linda was already turning back to Erika, her eyes blazing. "You will not keep my grandchildren away from us, no matter what piece of paper says." Erika's face hardened. "They are my children, and after the way you're acting right now, you will not see them until I decide otherwise." Robert stepped forward, threatening, "You don't get to decide that alone. Watch me," Erika said, her voice low, dangerous. Charlie felt his chest tighten. "Erika, wait," he said. "Please, let's calm down. We can talk about this." "Talk?" Linda scoffed. "There is nothing to talk about." She turned to Charlie. "You're coming with us." Charlie shook his head slowly. "No, I need to stay. I need answers." "Answers?" Robert barked. "You already have them." Erika crossed her arms. "The real father deserves to know too." Linda spun around, eyes wide. "What did you just say?" Erika took a deep breath, bracing herself. "I know who he is." The room went silent. Charlie's heart stopped beating. For a second, "Who?" he whispered before Erika could answer. A knock came at the door, 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Every head turned. Linda frowned. Who else could possibly be coming? Erika's face went pale. She hadn't expected this. Not yet. Charlie walked to the door. His legs felt like lead. He opened it and froze. Standing there was a man he hadn't seen before, tall, familiar, somehow like a shadow from Erika's past that had suddenly taken shape. "Can I come in?" the man asked, his voice calm but heavy with something unspoken. Erika whispered his name under her breath, and in that moment Charlie understood everything without another word. The air thickened, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided right there in that living room with no idea that this was only the beginning of a far darker storm still to come. The man stepped inside slowly, like he knew every movement mattered, like one wrong breath could set the room on fire. Charlie closed the door behind him, his mind racing, questions colliding. Who was this man? Why now? Why here? Erika couldn't bring herself to look at him, yet her hands were clenched so tightly her nails dug into her palms. "You have some nerve," Linda snapped, breaking the silence. "Who are you and why are you here?" The man glanced at Erika, then back at Linda. "My name is Daniel," he said quietly. "I'm here because Erika asked me to come." "Asked you?" Robert scoffed. "So this was planned then?" "No," Erika said quickly, lifting her head, her voice shaking but firm. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I wanted to tell Charlie first." "Tell me what?" Charlie demanded, his voice cracking. "Tell me why there's a stranger in my house on the worst day of my life." Daniel swallowed hard. "I didn't know about the test until last night," he said. "I swear I didn't even know if I should come." Linda let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, how convenient." Charlie turned to Erika. "Is he?" She couldn't answer. She just nodded once, tears spilling freely now. That single movement felt like a punch to his chest. He staggered back, sitting down heavily on the couch, his hands pressed to his face. "You mean to tell me," Robert said slowly, "that this man is the father of your children?" Daniel stepped forward instinctively. "I am," he said. "I didn't know for years, but now that I do, I'm not walking away." That was it. That was the moment everything exploded. Linda lunged forward, her finger pointed inches from Daniel's face. "You stay away from my grandchildren, you hear me? You ruined enough already. They are not your grandchildren," Erika shouted before she could stop herself, and immediately the room froze. Even Charlie looked up, stunned by the words. Erika realized what she'd said but didn't take it back. She straightened her shoulders. "They are my children and Daniel is their biological father." Charlie's voice was barely audible. "Then what am I?" No one answered him, not right away. The silence was cruel. Erika finally walked toward him, kneeling in front of him. "You are the man who raised them, who loved them, who was there every night, every fever, every birthday that doesn't disappear because of a test." Charlie laughed hollowly. "It feels like it just did." Linda crossed her arms, triumphant. "See, even he knows you used him." Erika stood up slowly, anger replacing grief. "I did not use him. I loved him. I still do." Daniel looked between them, pain etched on his face. "I never meant to destroy anything. I didn't even know they were mine until Erika told me she suspected." Robert shook his head. "This is unbelievable. One scandal after another." Charlie suddenly stood up. "Don't talk about scandals in my house," he snapped, his voice stronger, now edged with rage. "You both came in here accusing, screaming, making everything worse." Linda stared at her son like she didn't recognize him. "Don't you dare turn this on us. We're the victims here." Charlie pointed to himself. "I am the victim, Mom, not you." The words hit hard. Linda's eyes filled with tears, but her pride kept her standing tall. "We tried to warn you about her from the beginning." Erika felt that cut deeper than anything else. All these years she thought she had earned their acceptance, their respect, and now it was clear she never had. "You are not welcome here anymore," Erika said suddenly, the words firm, final. Linda laughed again, hysterical now. "Oh, you think you can ban us?" "Yes," Erika said, "I can, and I am, until you learn to respect me and my children." Robert stepped closer to Charlie. "Son, you're going to let her do this?" Charlie closed his eyes for a long moment, then opened them. "I need space," he said quietly. "Both of you need to leave." Linda's mouth fell open. "You're choosing her over us." "I'm choosing peace," Charlie replied, his voice breaking again. "And right now you are not helping." Daniel shifted awkwardly. "I can go," he offered. "This was a mistake." "No," Erika said softly, "not anymore." Linda grabbed her purse, shaking with fury. "You will regret this," she hissed at Erika. "You will all regret this." As they walked out, slamming the door behind them, the house felt emptier, colder. Charlie sank back onto the couch staring at nothing. Daniel stood frozen, unsure where he belonged. If anywhere, I should explain, Erika whispered. Charlie shook his head. Not yet, he said. I don't know if I can hear it right now. Daniel nodded, understanding. I'll wait, he said, even if it takes years. That night no one slept. Erika lay awake listening to Charlie breathe beside her every breath, reminding her of what she might lose. Daniel sat in his car down the street staring at the house, wondering how a single truth had rewritten so many lives. Fans would later be shocked by how quickly lines were drawn, but in that moment there were no fans, no audience, just broken people and a future suddenly full of unanswered questions, and the feeling that the worst was still coming. Morning came without relief. The sunlight felt cruel, spilling into a house that no longer felt like home. Charlie sat at the kitchen table, untouched, coffee growing cold, his eyes red, hollow, like he'd aged years overnight. Erika stood at the sink, pretending to wash the same mug over and over, her mind replaying every word, every look, every crack in Charlie's voice. Daniel was still outside when the kids woke up. He hadn't slept either, his head resting against the steering wheel, guilt pressing down on his chest like a weight he couldn't escape. When the front door finally opened and Erika stepped out, he straightened immediately. You don't have to sit out here, she said softly. I didn't know where else to go, he replied. She nodded, neither of them knowing what the right thing was anymore. Just then Charlie appeared in the doorway, his eyes locking onto Daniel. For a long tense moment Erika held her breath, expecting another explosion, but instead Charlie surprised them both. Come inside, he said flatly. We need to talk. Daniel hesitated, then followed, the tension thick as they sat across from each other at the table. Erika remained standing, afraid to sit, afraid it would make things feel too final. Start talking, Charlie said, his voice steady in a way that scared her more than yelling. How long have you been in her life? Daniel cleared his throat. Years ago, he said quietly. Before you and her, before everything. Charlie nodded slowly. So this wasn't just a mistake, this was history. Yes, Daniel admitted, but I left. I didn't know she was pregnant when I did. Erika finally spoke. I found out after you were gone. I tried to reach you, but you had disappeared. Charlie clenched his jaw. So instead you built a life with me. Erika's eyes filled again. I loved you, I still do. I never planned for this to come back. Daniel leaned forward. I swear on everything, I didn't know until recently when she told me. The timing made sense. Charlie exhaled sharply, rubbing his face. This is unbelievable. From the hallway small footsteps approached. The kids appeared, sleepy, confused, sensing something was wrong. Erika's heart dropped instantly. Mom, why is everyone sad? Her daughter asked innocently. Charlie stood up quickly, forcing a smile. Go get dressed. Okay, we'll talk later. After they left, Charlie's smile vanished. He turned back to Erika. They can't know. Not yet, she nodded, terrified of the day they would have to explain something she herself barely understood. By afternoon, Linda had already started making calls, friends, family, anyone who would listen. Her version of the story spreading fast, exaggerated, poisoned. Erika's phone buzzed non-stop, messages, some sympathetic, others cruel. Fans online were already speculating, whispering about betrayal, lies, secret lovers. Emotions ran high everywhere. Charlie's sister showed up unannounced, eyes blazing. Is it true? She demanded. The moment Erika opened the door, Charlie tried to intervene, but she pushed past him into the living room. How could you do this to him? She yelled at Erika. Daniel stood up instantly. I won't let you talk to her like that, she laughed bitterly. Oh, so now you're playing hero? Charlie snapped. Enough, everyone stop. But the damage was done. Accusations flew. Betrayal echoed off the walls. The family was left divided again. Erika felt herself shrinking under the weight of everyone's anger. Later that night, after everyone finally left, Charlie stood alone in the backyard, staring at the dark sky. Erika approached slowly, afraid he might pull away. I don't know who I am anymore, he admitted quietly. I don't know where I fit in this story. Erika reached for his hand and he let her take it, but didn't squeeze back. I don't expect forgiveness, she whispered. I just want a chance to fix what we can. Charlie didn't answer right away. When he finally spoke, it was barely audible. I need time. Inside, Daniel packed a small bag, preparing to leave again. History repeating itself. Erika watched him from the doorway, tears streaming silently. I don't want to hurt him more, Daniel said. This house needs space. Erika nodded, knowing he was right, knowing this was only the calm before another storm, because once the truth was out there was no going back, and tomorrow would bring even more questions, more confrontations, and choices that would change all of their lives forever. Daniel left before sunrise, his car disappearing down the street like a ghost. Erika watched from the window, her chest aching with a strange mix of relief and loss. Charlie didn't stop him. He didn't say goodbye either. He just stood in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes distant, as if shutting down was the only way to survive. By mid-morning, the silence was broken by Erika's phone vibrating again and again. She ignored it at first, but when she saw the kid's school name flash across the screen, her heart skipped. She answered quickly, forcing calm into her voice. Hello, Mrs. Kirk. The voice said, we just wanted to let you know there's been some chatter among parents today, and we thought you should be aware. Erika's stomach dropped. What kind of chatter? Nothing official, the woman said carefully, but it might be best to keep your children home tomorrow if possible. After the call ended, Erika sank onto the couch, shaking. Charlie walked in from the kitchen, reading her face before she spoke. They know, don't they, he said flatly. She nodded. It's spreading faster than we thought. Charlie ran a hand through his hair. swear this is exactly what I was afraid of. Later that afternoon, Linda posted something vague but loaded on social media talking about betrayal, lies and stolen years. It didn't name names, but it didn't have to. Fans were shocked. The comments exploded. Theories, accusations, sympathy, all mixed into a toxic storm. Erika's name started trending. By evening, Charlie's phone buzzed non-stop. Messages from co-workers, old friends, distant relatives, everyone suddenly wanting answers or offering opinions. He turned it off, tossing it onto the counter like it burned him. I can't do this, he muttered. That night, the kids overheard whispers, heard their names, saw their parents crying behind closed doors. Erika's son finally confronted her with eyes too old for his age. Mom, are people saying Dad isn't my dad? Erika felt her knees give out. She knelt in front of him, pulling him close. He is your dad, she said firmly. Nothing changes that, but she knew one day it would change, at least a little. Charlie watched from the doorway, tears streaming silently, knowing the bond he fought so hard to protect was already under threat. The next day, Robert showed up alone, his expression softer but still proud. Erika opened the door cautiously. I'm not here to fight, he said. Charlie joined them, arms crossed, listening. I don't agree with how Linda handled things, Robert admitted, but banning us was extreme. Erika's voice was steady. You didn't see how she spoke about my children, Robert sighed. I just want to see my son not lose everything. Charlie finally spoke. I already have Dad, I'm just trying to figure out what's left. Robert nodded slowly, then left without another word. Another bridge, half burned, half standing. That night, Charlie packed a bag. Erika watched silently, afraid to ask, are you leaving? I need space, he said, not meeting her eyes. I'll stay with a friend for a while. Her heart shattered, but she nodded, understanding. Sometimes love meant letting go even when it hurt. As the door closed behind him, Erika sank to the floor, sobbing, the house echoing with absence outside. Fans speculated, took sides, judged every move. Emotions ran high everywhere, and the family, once whole, now felt scattered, pieces drifting apart with no clear path back together. And somewhere across town, Daniel sat alone, replaying Erika's words, knowing his return had changed everything and that the next chapter would be even harder to survive. Days turned into a blur. Erika moved through them on autopilot, waking the kids, packing lunches, forcing smiles she didn't feel. Every quiet moment felt louder than the last. Charlie's side of the bed stayed untouched, a constant reminder of how fragile everything had become. Charlie stayed with a friend across town, but distance didn't bring clarity, it only brought loneliness. He replayed memories late at night, birthdays, first steps, bedtime stories, all moments he once claimed as his own, now shadowed by doubt. Am I still their father if blood says otherwise? The question haunted him. Daniel tried to stay away like he promised, but the pull was unbearable. He drove past the house more than once, never stopping, never knocking, just needing to know they were okay. His phone buzzed with messages from Erika. He didn't answer, afraid his presence would only make things worse. Linda, however, was not staying quiet. She gave interviews to anyone who would listen, painting herself as a betrayed grandmother cut off from innocent children. Her tears looked real, her pain sounded convincing. Fans were shocked by how quickly sympathy shifted. Erika went from victim to villain overnight. One afternoon, Erika was confronted at the grocery store. A stranger whispered loud enough for others to hear, that's her, the one who lied about her kids. Erika rushed out, shaking, humiliation burning her skin. That night, she finally called Daniel. I can't do this alone anymore, she cried. He came immediately, logic forgotten, emotion winning this time. When Charlie found out, he was furious but also exhausted. He showed up at the house unexpectedly and saw Daniel's car in the driveway. His chest tightened, but instead of rage, he felt something else, resignation. Inside, the tension was thick. Charlie and Daniel faced each other again, this time without yelling, without parents, without an audience. I'm not here to take your place, Daniel said quietly. Charlie scoffed, feels like you already did. Daniel shook his head, you raised them, you are their dad in every way that matters. Charlie's voice cracked, then why does it feel like I'm losing them? Because love doesn't disappear, Daniel replied, but it does change. Those words hung heavy. Erika watched both men, the two worlds she'd created, colliding painfully. Charlie stayed longer that night, ate dinner with the kids, laughed weakly at their jokes, the normalcy almost unbearable. When he left again, it hurt more than before. The next morning, Linda showed up at the school demanding to see the children. Administrators refused, citing Erika's instructions. Linda caused a scene, phones recorded, videos uploaded, fans dissected every second. Emotions ran high again. Erika knew then this wasn't just family drama anymore, it was war, and the kids were caught in the middle. She filed for temporary boundaries legally, something she never imagined doing. Charlie supported it quietly, knowing his mother had crossed a line. That support sparked something between them again, fragile but real. They talked late into the night about therapy, about rebuilding, about protecting the kids first, even if it meant redefining everything they once believed. Daniel stepped back again, watching from a distance, understanding that love sometimes meant absence, but deep down he knew his story with those children was only beginning. As the world watched, judged, speculated, the family remained divided, yet bound by something deeper than blood, secrets and pain. The future uncertain, heavy with choices that would change them forever. And with every passing day, it became clear the truth had exposed more than a father, it had exposed every crack in their lives, and the hardest part was still ahead. The pressure didn't ease, it only shifted. Erika felt it in every glance, every whisper, whisper every headline that twisted her name into something unrecognizable. The kids started asking harder questions, ones she couldn't deflect with gentle smiles anymore, and every answer felt like a landmine. Charlie began coming around more often, at first just to see the kids, then to help with homework, then staying a little longer each time, the distance between them shrinking but never disappearing completely. There was still a wall between them, built from shock and fear and things left unsaid. One evening, as they sat on opposite ends of the couch watching the kids play on the floor, Charlie finally broke the silence. Did they look at me differently? He asked. Erika shook her head immediately. No, they still see you as their dad. Charlie swallowed. But what if one day they don't? That question stayed in the air, neither of them able to answer, because they both knew that day might come. Daniel kept his promise to stay away, but the world didn't let him stay. Invisible rumors about him surfaced, his name, his past, his intentions dissected online. Some called him a homewrecker, others a man finally claiming responsibility. Fans were split. Emotions ran high on every platform. Eventually Erika invited him over when the kids weren't home, just to talk, just to breathe without pretending. He stood awkwardly in the living room like a guest in a life that could have been his. I don't want to fight, Charlie, he said softly. I don't want to fight anyone anymore, Erika replied. I just want peace. Peace felt impossible, but they tried. When Charlie walked in unexpectedly that night and saw Daniel there again, something shifted, but this time it wasn't anger, it was acceptance. Tired, heavy acceptance. We can't keep pretending you don't exist, Charlie said finally. Daniel nodded. I never wanted to erase you. Maybe there's room for both, Charlie muttered, surprising even himself. That moment, fragile as glass, marked a turning point, not a happy ending, not forgiveness, but understanding that families don't always look the way they're supposed to. Outside, Linda watched all of this unfold, furious, powerless, realizing control had slipped through her fingers. The ban remained, and for the first time she felt what Erika had felt, judged, excluded, unheard. The story continued to spiral online, but inside that house something quieter began to form, a painful, messy attempt at redefining love, loyalty, and family, because the truth had shattered them, yes, but it also forced them to confront who they were and who they still wanted to be. And as the dust slowly settled, one thing became clear: this wasn't the end of the story, it was only the beginning of a new one none of them were ready for yet. The fragile calm didn't last long. It never does when wounds are still open and trust is still learning how to breathe again. Charlie started therapy quietly, at first not telling anyone, but Erika noticed the change, the way he listened more, the way he didn't shut down as quickly, the way his anger softened into sadness and then into something closer to acceptance. One night after the kids were asleep, he finally said the words he'd been holding back. I'm scared that one day they'll choose him. Erika didn't pretend not to understand. She sat beside him, close enough to feel his warmth but not touching yet. They won't choose between you, she said, they'll just have more people who love them. Charlie laughed sadly. Love doesn't feel abundant right now, it feels like something I'm about to lose. Outside that house, Daniel was struggling with his own demons. He wanted to be present without being invasive, responsible without being disruptive. Every choice felt wrong. No matter what he did, he was the villain in someone's story and the hero in none. His nights were sleepless, his days filled with restraint. The kids finally met him weeks later, not with explanations, not with labels, just as mom's friend. The tension was unbearable. Erika watched every interaction, every smile, every question. Daniel stayed gentle, distant, careful, and when the kids hugged Charlie afterward like nothing had changed, he almost cried with relief. But Linda didn't stop her campaign. She filed for visitation rights, claiming emotional harm, accusing Erika of manipulation. The court documents felt like knives. Charlie was torn again, but this time he chose his own voice. He testified for Erika, something he never thought he'd do, against his own mother. The judge ruled temporarily in Erika's favor. Boundaries upheld, the ban remained. Linda walked out, furious, cameras flashing, fans shocked by Charlie's choice. Emotions ran high across the internet. Again that night, Charlie came home not to visit, not to talk, but to stay. He unpacked his bag slowly, like someone afraid the floor might collapse beneath him. Erika watched from the doorway, tears in her eyes. I'm not promising anything, he said quietly, but I don't want to live apart anymore. That was enough for now. Daniel watched from a distance, again stepping back once more, not out of fear but respect, understanding that his role would always be complicated, always secondary, and yet still real. The family wasn't healed, but it was breathing again, fractured but functioning. The truth had exposed pain, betrayal, and loss, but it had also forced honesty where there was once silence. And as the world slowly moved on to the next scandal, the next headline, inside that house life continued, messy, imperfect, and real, because sometimes the most dramatic stories don't end with explosions, they end with quiet choices made every day to stay, to love, to rebuild even when the scars never fully fade. Time moved differently after that, like everyone was living in slow motion, afraid that one wrong step would send everything crashing down again. Charlie settled back into the house, not as a triumphant return but as a quiet negotiation with reality. He slept lightly, woke often, sometimes staring at the kids' doors just to reassure himself they were still there, that he was still there. Erika watched him closely, learning the new version of the man she loved, one shaped by loss, humility, and fear. She carried her own guilt like a shadow, never fully leaving her. Even in moments of laughter. She wondered if joy was something she still deserved. The kids sensed the shift. They didn't have the words, but they felt the tension ease a little. Dinners became less, silent jokes returned cautiously, bedtime stories resumed. Though Charlie's voice sometimes broke mid-sentence, he always finished them anyway, determined not to disappear. Daniel remained on the outside but not gone entirely. Occasional texts to Erika about boundaries, schedules, patience. He was learning his place even if it hurt. Fans continued to speculate. Some demanded he fight for his rights, others accused him of destroying a family. Emotions ran high but he stayed quiet, choosing restraint over noise. Then one evening the past came knocking again. Linda stood across the street watching the house, lights on her chest tight with regret and rage. She didn't knock, she didn't call, she just watched, realizing too late that control had cost her connection. Robert joined her briefly, said nothing, then walked away, leaving her alone with the consequences of her own fire inside. Erika and Charlie talked late into the night about forgiveness, about whether it was possible, whether it was necessary. Charlie admitted he still didn't trust the future, but he trusted the present, and for now that was enough. I don't know what we look like a year from now, he said honestly. Erika replied, I don't either, but I know I don't want to face it without you. Those words weren't a promise, but they were an anchor. Weeks later the kids asked about Daniel directly, curiosity finally outgrowing silence. Erika and Charlie sat together, choosing honesty softened with care, explaining that families can be complicated, that love isn't always simple, that being a parent is about showing up, not just biology. Charlie listened closely, waiting to see if the words would erase him. They didn't. The kids hugged him like always, grounding him again. Daniel was told later he accepted it quietly, understanding his role would be earned slowly. If it all online, the story faded, replaced by newer scandals, but the damage and growth remained invisible to the world. The family was still divided, still healing, still fragile, but also stronger in unexpected ways. Erika stood one morning watching Charlie and the kids laugh over spilled cereal, realizing the truth hadn't just exposed a father, it had exposed resilience, identity, and the uncomfortable reality that love can survive even when certainty does not. Nothing was perfect, nothing was guaranteed, but for the first time since the envelope hit the table, the house felt alive again, not whole, not unbroken, but breathing. And sometimes that is the bravest ending a story like this can offer. And now it all comes down to you, because stories like this don't end when the screen fades to black. They live on in the questions you're still asking, the sides you're still choosing, and the emotions you're still feeling. Maybe you sympathize with Erika, a woman protecting her children at all costs. Maybe your heart breaks for Charlie, a man who loved without conditions only to have his entire identity shaken. Maybe you feel conflicted about Daniel stepping into a truth he never asked for, or maybe you still feel anger toward the parents whose actions pushed a family even further apart. This story leaves us with uncomfortable questions. What really makes a parent? Blood or presence? Can trust ever be fully rebuilt once the truth is exposed? Is banning family an act of protection, or a line crossed too far? And when secrets come out, does honesty heal, or does it just create new wounds that never quite close? Fans are shocked not just by the DNA test, but by the choices that followed, the silence, the confrontations, the unexpected moments of compassion, and the mistakes that felt all too human. Emotions ran high because this wasn't just about scandal, it was about identity, loyalty, and love being tested in the harshest way possible. And even now the family remains divided, not by hatred but by the reality that some fractures never disappear, they only change shape. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think Erika did the right thing by banning Charlie's parents, or should forgiveness have come first? Do you believe Charlie can truly move forward without feeling replaced? Can a family survive when the truth rewrites its foundation? And what would you have done if you were standing in that living room when the envelope was opened? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation doesn't end here. Your voice matters, your perspective matters, and your opinion might be completely different from the next person watching, and that's what keeps stories like this alive, debated, and evolving. If you felt the tension, if you felt the heartbreak, if this story made you pause even for a moment, then make sure you hit that like button. It tells us you want more deep, dramatic stories that dive into the messy, complicated side of relationships and family. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the time, because you don't want to miss what comes next. Secrets don't stay buried, and neither do the consequences. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with us, because this story may be over for now, but the fallout, the opinions, and the next shocking revelation are always just around the corner. And trust us, you'll want to be here when it happens.